Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm excited to talk to you guys today about a topic that we haven't covered very often on the channel. Really, I don't think we've ever really covered anything on the channel about personal finances. So this is a business finance channel, and there are thousands of personal finance channels out there and some really amazing ones. And you should go if you're trying to really learn and deep dive about personal finance, definitely go and find some really amazing resources. But this video is going to be showing you my favorite personal finance app that I think is so helpful for small business owners. So I use it myself. It has been game-changing for me. I love the fact that I can just be on the platform and I don't have to have my separate Excel spreadsheets that I always used to have to do. So I used to use Mint, and I would have Mint up, and then I would be like doing things on my Excel spreadsheets on the side because I wanted to forecast my financials and I wanted to kind of think ahead a little bit, because remember, I am a CFO at the end of the day, and looking ahead and planning and decision making is a big part of what I do for businesses. And I finally found a tool that can do that for your personal finances as well. So this video is not sponsored. If you are interested in checking out this tool, I will put links and we'll talk more about that. But I just wanted to talk about it because I like it so much. And I was thinking about it and I was like, I am really, really nerdy to be like this excited to do a video on a personal finance app, but I truly am excited to show you guys. So, okay, the tool is called Monarch Money. It is monarchmoney.com. And if you want to go and check it out and look at their, main page, you can go and check that out there. But what I've done is I've taken some dummy data. So I downloaded some CSV files. I did a bunch of editing and taking out and changing numbers and changing names. And then I downloaded it for a credit card and for a bank account and for a savings account. And I've set up a really basic financial structure here. And so I can show you guys what this looks like in a live format. So I actually just opened up a new account, put a bunch of dummy data in there for 3 months. So I don't have a full year. That would have taken way too long because it already took a lot of hours to get this stuff in here. It's basically a fully functioning account. So I'm going to show you guys what Monarch Money looks like. And I'm going to show you some of the things that really get me just over the moon about this software, because it's not like anything else I've used before. So we're going to go ahead and dive into Monarch. Well, let's just start out with the dashboard. This is the high level. And what I like about the dashboard is that, first of all, you can customize it to what you want to see. Over here has a really high level kind of status bar on your budget. There's a spending trend over here, and it gives us a line right now that says, what does last month look like versus this month? I am recording this on February 1st, so there is no February data in here yet. And I uploaded data for November, December, January, so I don't have anything live synced, so new information is not going to come in. If you guys really love this video and you want another one, I could potentially update February data. So let me know if there's other things you'd like to see in Monarch after you watch this one. But you can see a quick snapshot of net worth. So that's all your assets minus all your liabilities. Love that there. And then just some of your most recent transactions, recurring transactions, and then your goals. So let's walk through how Monarch works and kind of what you can find here and what it has. So the first thing that you do when you set up a personal finance software like this is that you're going to connect your accounts. So like I said, have manually updated a checking account, a high yield savings account, and then a credit card. But when I have this for my real life, my actual personal Monarch account, I have multiple bank accounts. I have multiple investment accounts. I have, the value of my home connected on here. I have, my car value all on here. Everything that I own, I can put here in this add account section. So you can do a direct link. And this is what you have to do this basically. I don't think it makes sense to have a personal finance app that's not updating daily. So connect your checking account, it's okay if maybe some of your investment accounts aren't doing daily updates, like your 401k maybe at work, but your checking account, your savings accounts, anything that has daily transactions, you want to make sure that you can have that live account and that it's up to date for the most recent balance as much as possible. So you would go in here if it's a Chase account, and then you would get connected. through Plaid. It's a secure connection, and you will step through the process to add your accounts. And you just do that for every kind of financial account that you have. I've done it. What I was able to do, and I'm just going to show you how to do that. You can add down here a manual account. And so you can add all sorts of things. Like, let's say you have, like, you want to list this in your net worth, and you might have some artwork, for example, and you want to have it in here at a value of $10,000. You can add that. Okay. I don't really go that far into doing that, but if that's something that you want to do, Monarch does that. You can add mortgage value if it's not connected. You can add all sorts of things, loans, and then it just kind of has this like blank other. So if you're like, yeah, I have something really valuable, but it's not listed anywhere here, you can put that on here as well. Or maybe if it's a loan or some kind of debt, like maybe you owe your parents they gave you a personal loan, and maybe they, gave you money to go to college and you didn't go through the traditional, like, Fannie Mae kind of loan, and you just are paying your parents back. You could put something like that in here. Okay. So that's accounts. You can attach all the things. And then let's go to transactions. So all of my business owners here, you're going to see this and you're going to go, wow, this is really similar to how QuickBooks works or how Xero works. The transactions come in from your accounts that are linked, and then you go through and you can categorize them. And yes, that is exactly how this works. And that's another reason why I love that this platform is not overly complicated, and it's very simple, and it also is working the same way that our accounting software does in a lot of ways. So it's really great for business owners in that way, because like our brains are already kind of like used to seeing that kind of stuff. So you basically, all of your accounts come in, and then you just have to put them into the right category, and you can decide, what is this? I put in a lot of like generic stuff over here, but a restaurant name would pop up, for example, and then you could be like, oh, that was restaurants, or maybe it was actually a gift because you bought a gift card instead. So you could decide what category each thing wants to go in. We're going to talk about customizing these categories in just a minute too, because I think that they have really great customization tools. So this is where you are telling the system what everything is. And the other thing I like about this too is that, I'm just going to change this real quick to show you that this will pop up every time you classify something. It'll pop up and say, do you want to create a rule that every time that merchant comes up again, or that amount comes up, that you can save it and it will automatically remember, oh yeah, that thing is public transit, or that thing is X, Y, or Z. So you can do this based on, this is really similar to QuickBooks rules. You can base it off of merchant name. You can have like a contains or an exact. You can do it based on amount. You can do it based on categories. So there are a lot of things that you could do here. You can also do a split, which is great. I love the idea of having rules because it'll make your life easier as like more things. Because, let's be honest, we're usually spending our personal money in the same places over and over and over again. I was just looking through some of these transactions and I'm like, oh yeah, there's the grocery store, same grocery store. You're going to go to the same grocery stores a lot. You're going to go to the same coffee shops a lot, the same restaurants a lot. You're going to pay these vendors. You're going to go to the same dry cleaner. You're going to go to the same place to buy your dog food, all the things. If you just memorize them, take that 2 seconds to create up a rule, this can start to get almost to a place where it's just very automated and you don't have to do a lot of like managing of the transactions as they come in. So I love that. Yeah, I think that's everything I want to show you on cash flow. We're going to skip and talk about categories real quick. So I'm going to you go down into the left-hand corner to your account and then go to settings. And there are lots of settings you can look at here, but categories is where you can sort of update your chart of accounts, if you will. This is very similar in QuickBooks to the chart of accounts, where you can rename things, you can reorganize things, you can group things differently. You can do all of that here under categories. So for example, they already have, most of these categories are not things that I've made any adjustments to. I think I added a house cleaning line. I made maybe a couple word edits here and there. I think I did this other income draws. I added that. But basically, all of these categories are very customizable. So on income, if you have income coming in from other things, you can easily create a category. I love this too, that there's little emojis that you can use. So if you are like, okay, this is my crazy money, you can use a little crazy emoji. But whatever it is, it's actually really nice to have those emojis, because when you have your you have your app up, and the Monarch Money app is really great. I have it on my phone. When you're there and you're scrolling through, you can be like, the actual little visual will sort of indicate easier, like, oh, that looks like it's in the wrong category or that isn't. But I've really come to like the little emojis because it just kind of creates that immediate like, oh yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, that's wrong. When I see the vendor name and that little emoji. So, play around with it if you like it. If you really hate emojis, I don't know if there's a way to turn it off. Maybe there is. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there is. Maybe there's not. I don't know. You're going to be forced to use emojis if that's the case. If you don't like emojis, then I'm sorry. So you can reorganize all of this. So if you want to create a new group and you say, hey, I don't like the way that they've organized things. I want to do it my way, or I want to do it in this other, the way that it makes more sense for my brain. You can create your own group. You can drag and drop these things into other groups. Like I can move charity into a different category if I want to. So what I did for my spending is I had these kind of high level accounts like, home expenses, car expenses, my food expenses, for example. But then that's kind of for all my fixed cost kind of stuff, the stuff that doesn't really change very much. And like, it's kind of my like have to have expenses. And then I set up a group. So like, let's say this, I set up a group just called discretionary. This works for me. I'm not saying that you have to do this. I'm just telling you my system. So I would have something by discretionary, and then I'm going to budget by group, which means that I'm going to put a discretionary bucket, and then a lot of the different categories underneath are just going to go to fill that bucket. So for example, like I put my shopping budget in there, but I don't give myself like $500 a month for shopping. I just say shopping goes into discretionary. So maybe some months it's $1,000 and maybe some months it's $100. Like there's going to be times that shopping is more and shopping is less. So I like that discretionary to kind of be that, hey, just don't go crazy on all these things that are, maybe a little bit more of the nice to have expenses, not necessarily the needs. So that works for me. And then I put like my pet expenses in there, and I put like my fitness, for example, like I take tennis classes. So like those can get really expensive, but I can't just go every day, 5 times a day. Well, because I have to work, but also because like that would be really, really expensive and I would use up all my discretionary funds. So, you can kind of play with this and customize it to what works for you. I love the customization here. Okay, let's go back to where we were. We were working down our list over here, or working down the sidebar. Cash flow, this is just kind of a high level tracking of how much money came in and how much money goes out. So this page, I actually don't spend a lot of time on this page unless I'm kind of looking for high level trends. This shows you really clearly in January brought in 9,550, 901.38 went out. So that wasn't a lot of savings, and the savings rate was 4.3%. I love that they always have this savings rate calculated in a lot of their reporting, because this is a number that's really important if you are looking to make progress in your personal finances. And so, for example, in December, there was a big income month, and then expenses were less, and there was more savings. And then when we go down here, we can say, well, why was there so much more? Oh, the business owner took a $13,000 draw. So yeah, that would make a lot of sense why there was more income in that month. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the reporting. You guys don't even know how excited I am about these Sankey charts, okay? That is what these little flow charts, these colorful flow charts are called. I think I'm saying that right, Sankey. I've only ever seen it written. I don't really hear people say it out loud. Sankey, Sankey. It's up here on the left as the options. So you can look at your spending in this like cash flow format, and then you can look at your spending in this chart here. I don't like any of those as much as I love this one. This one is just so helpful. So the way that you read these is the income flows in from different sources. So some of it was coming in from paychecks, some of it was coming in from draws. This is your total amount of money that you're dealing with. And then all of these little arms going out towards the right side are your expenses. So your total money went somewhere. So it went to housing, it went to food and dining, it went to shopping, it went to travel and lifestyle. And these are all those categories and then the subcategories that I just showed you when we went through and looked at the categories section and as we were talking about customizing that. So you can see, you can get a lot of really great information here and you can break it down and be really granular. There's a really great Reddit thread for Monarch Money users, and some people will share their Sankey diagrams, because if you share this, you can actually remove the dollar amounts and just have percentages. So if you wanted to share this with a friend or you wanted to challenge somebody and you're trying to keep each other accountable or something like that, you could potentially share this if you didn't want to show, your total income to somebody, for example. But some people did that and they put it up on the Reddit board. And I just thought it was really interesting to see how some people have every little single thing categorized and some people just have really high level categories that don't go this next sub-level deep. Like they just decided like maybe they have a max of 8 categories. So that's totally up to you and what's helpful for you. I'd say try to not make it too detailed, like by vendor. I don't think that's particularly helpful. Or like, instead of saying like children's activities, to put like piano lessons and soccer and, all the things, and then break it up by kids. Like that could get a little crazy, right? So just try to keep it reasonable for you to where it's just not overwhelming. That anything like this is like, just try to make it so it's not overwhelming. Because when you first get started, it can be like, wow, there's a lot of input that I need to do before I can get good information out. But, if you can make your life a little simpler with not having to make so many choices every time you have a drop down when you're going to categorize your transactions, that will be helpful. Okay, so love the Sankey reports. You can change date ranges up here. The reporting is actually really good. I'm really happy with the reporting here. And then you can also click on anything. So if I want to see like what's in my housing, it will show everything that rolls up into that housing down below. Okay. So, I thought that reports were my favorite, but then I get to budgets and now I'm just like, you guys, I'm like the biggest nerd ever. But I love this so much. So budgeting in Monarch is the best of all of the personal finance tools that I've used. I was a Mint user for a long time. I didn't like how what would happen is you would spend money that wasn't explicitly in the budget, and then they would just kind of put it into this sort of mystery under budget they'd put it down at the bottom, and then like you would think that you were like hitting your budget, but then you realize there's like $4,000 of expenses that weren't accounted for below. It was like very not cool. So if you haven't explicitly budgeted for something, Monarch will put it into like a category, will like assume a category, and then it will show up somewhere like in an unbudgeted amount if you don't have a budget for that category. So there's no way that you can kind of have that like leak of expenses where you just because it didn't have a category, it didn't get budgeted for. So it will show up in the actuals if it comes through on a bank feed. So you set your budgets on the left-hand side, and then as transactions come in, they start to fill in the actuals, and then it shows you the remaining amounts over on the side. And then it has like the top line for the whole category, so you can collapse that. But then it has like the detail of what those things are coded to below. So similarly, like auto and transport, you can collapse housing costs, you can collapse and whatever. And then if you don't have any budgeted for something that's under that category, it automatically hides. But if you want to expand it and see anything there, you can. Okay. So like in this case, for this person, this is all imaginary. There was $7,800 of paychecks that is planned to come in. We know what that is. That makes sense to like put it in for a specific number. Typically, they take $3,500 in draws. There's $100 gift budget every month, regular gas. There's no car payment because the car's paid off. Still some Uber trips here and there. There's a mortgage. There's some home improvement costs and some house cleaning costs. Again, not saying that any of this is realistic. I just wanted to get you a sense of like putting all of these expenses into a budget. So you can go through and put a budget for every category. Again, if you're like, hey, I don't want to do a budget for fun money, pets, entertainment, and travel, and I would rather just call this like fun stuff and have like $1,000 a month for fun stuff and put all of your, you're going to the movies, you're going to take a little day trip somewhere, you're going to go out to a coffee shop, and you call that like fun stuff instead of putting it up here in food and dining. That is totally up to you. So whatever works for you. And so you can build your budget out here. At the bottom of the budget, after all the expenses, it will also put in any goals that you've set for yourself. We haven't got to the goals yet, but that you can see that now. And that if that is a goal and you've put in like an intention that you're going to go for that goal, it will automatically populate here. You don't have to add it. So that's the budget. And then the next step is the forecast. So this is where I think Monarch has just like done, it's so simple, but like, why isn't every personal finance place doing this? Like, it doesn't make any sense, because we should be looking forward in our financials to say, yeah, I know that like in June, things are going to get really expensive because we're going on that vacation to Disneyland and everything in Disneyland is expensive. So we need to, make sure that we are, budgeting for knowing that that's going to be 5 times the normal amount of our, fund money, for example, or 100 times what the normal amount is for fund money. Or we know that like in April, we always get a bonus, or December, you always get a bonus for your W-2 job, or as a business owner that your draws might increase when you get that next client. So you can plan for all of this stuff when you see it in this view. So it gives you the full year view where you can see out to the full year. And I love this because there are some things that like you can get really granular on it. You can go, oh, actually my water bill is only every other month. So I can fix that really quickly and I can take that out. So I already paid it in January. So that actually means, now if I were to change this now, I'll show you guys. If I were to change this right now, there's this little checkbox that says apply $400 to all future months. I don't want to do that normally. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But if I want to take this out, I want to uncheck that box. I actually would say to Monarch, if you're watching, I would prefer that to be opposite. I'd prefer to, when I change this to be unchecked until I check it, because I think most of the time when I go in here and make edits, I don't want it to apply to future months, but that's just kind of being nitpicky. So I'm going to just kind of delete this, and you can see how you can do that very easily and update to what's a little bit more realistic. Yeah, and you can fluctuate. So like, let's say your grocery bill is like mostly normal, but then you get to November and you're hosting Thanksgiving dinner, and all of a sudden it's like $1,600 because Thanksgiving food and feeding your entire family is very expensive. So that's just a really good example of the types of things that you can put into this like longer term forecast. So I think that the business owner aspect of this is so important, because you can see like maybe your life is actually needing more money from your business right now than you thought. Once you put all this stuff in there and then you say, oh, well, we got this vacation, we got that, we have, this kid's doing this new activity, and you put it all in and you scroll down to the bottom and you realize maybe I don't have enough money in, like, let's change this. Let's say you got, I don't know, kids' activities are crazy. Like, let's say you have like 3 kids and they're all doing club sports, for example. And you start to realize with their current income that every single month you're going to be in the negative. That doesn't work if you want to meet your savings goals. And so you might need to go back to the business and say, is there a way that I can increase my draw? Like, is that something that we can do? Because my life is needing more money right now than maybe it did last year. So I just feel like that's like the really great part about forecasting, is like, just because it was one way doesn't mean it will be that same way in the future. And there's always going to be scenarios that are going to change. So forecasting, amazing, very easy to use, and gets you out of an Excel spreadsheet. Okay, they have this little recurring tab. I'm not going to go too much into it, but it will kind of analyze your things and ask you if you have recurring charges. So right now it said there's 5 things I need to see if they're recurring charges. Yes, that's recurring. Yes, that's recurring. It's insurance. Yes, that's recurring. Disney Plus. Yes, save as recurring. Okay, and no, this one actually is not recurring. This is like a Prime Video charge, right? So that's not recurring. So now this will just kind of help alert you that you have a recurring charge coming up in the future. Now you can set goals. I've set a savings goal for an emergency fund. And if I wanted to, I can edit this and I can say that I want my emergency fund to be this high yield savings account that I have. My checking account, I don't want to be considered in my emergency fund because that's money that I need. But maybe I can move some of that balance to the high yield savings account if the balance gets too big. But I want to call that high yield savings account my emergency fund. And so you can associate accounts directly to those things. And then if you can set up new goals, like maybe it's like a down payment for a house, a new car, whatever it is, you can set like a very specific thing and you can upload pictures and stuff. It's great. Okay, you can see investments. I don't really look at this very much, but you can see investments on here. And they have this advice thing here. I'm just not going to walk through that right now, but it kind of will give you some personalized recommendations if you step through the process and answer all the questions. Okay, so that is a really high level of Monarch Money. I mentioned some of the things I like so much about it that I think is really different from other personal finance software. The reporting with the Sankey diagrams, love that. I love the budgeting and the really clear budget versus actual, and then the forecasting piece. Love that so much. I also haven't had issues with accounts being disconnected and things like that, but I have heard that can happen. So, it's just something to check with your financial institutions. If you are having problems linking your accounts, you could reach out to their support and see if there's something that you can do. Sometimes with your accounts, you have to go, like your bank might need special permission for a third party to be able to read the information. So all of these are built on a read-only technology. They don't have any access to do anything to your accounts, but they want to be able to read the information that's there. So, if you're having problems connecting your accounts, you can reach out to help. So if you're interested in checking out Monarch, you can go to claracfo.com/monarch and you're going to get a 30-day free trial. And what I recommend is that you actually sign up for the monthly subscription first and make sure that you're actually using it. They're going to try to get you to sign up for the annual first, but I like to make sure that there's traction and that you actually can get up and running before you upgrade to the annual. But like you can see right here, it's offering me a discount right now to upgrade to annual, and then it would be about $100 a year. But monthly, it's $14.99. Well worth it for getting your financials in order the way like that. In this way, I absolutely get the value out of it every single month. So yes, but you get a free 30-day trial with the link that I have given you and you can check it out. So I got all of this set up in one day, and I did a lot more work because I had to upload a CSV file. So you can definitely get up and running in this in a day. I 100% believe that. I think it could take a little longer depending on how far back you want to categorize your transactions. So if you want to take all of 2024 and categorize all your transactions, that might take some time. You could do that over a course of a week or two. But if you're just trying to say, hey, for 2025 going forward, I want to get it up and rolling, then that's going to be pretty easy for you. Okay, well, tell me what you think about Monarch. Are you as impressed with it as I am? I would love to hear. Most of the feedback I've seen is that it's great. I think I've had one complaint, and that was about like an account getting connected. But, if you have like kind of a really tiny bank and they don't have some of the same technology, maybe they aren't able to connect in the same way, but you can upload those CSV files. There is a way to do that. So I did it today to get this information in here. Okay, you guys. Well, thank you for watching, and let me know what other questions you have, and let me know if this is helpful. And if you have any other personal finance topics that are really burning, I may or may not talk about more personal finance stuff. It's kind of a passion of mine, but there are tons of amazing people out there to follow for your personal finance guidance. So, all right. Well, that's it. I will talk to you later. Bye, everybody.